Alright, so this is the beginning of a new series on the X channel where I do commentary, reaction commentaries on my own, on the main episodes of the main channel. And it may sound lazy, but I just want to talk about some of the stuff that I've done in the past few years. And so, another thing to note is that I won't be commenting on each episode of each year. That would just make it pretty obvious that I'm just reusing old content. But no, what I'm doing for this commentary series is that I want to talk about some of the more, pivotal videos that I've made. And so I'm just going to start that off with the very first episode of the main channel. But this isn't the first episode. So, very while back, very while back, I made this episode on Cuphead, and that episode wasn't the same episode that I uploaded as the third episode on year one. That was actually different. The very first episode that I made, and the very first episode on Cuphead that I made, was pretty terrible, and it was very, very short. It was like 4 or 5 minutes long, and it wasn't really as in depth as the official episode that I made on Cuphead, which talks about almost most of the stuff that the game has in store. And the one that I made, as far as I can recall, the very first episode that I made on Cuphead, it just it was really terrible. Like, I just skimmed through each of the bosses, and I didn't really talk about how each boss like fought, what were their special moves and whatnot. And so I just basically skimmed through the entire game, and I barely talked about the game itself. And I just made and I was like making that episode or video for some shits and giggles. So yeah, that's primarily the reason why I deleted that episode. And so this episode in particular, the Ninja Gaiden episode, was supposed to be a continuation of that episode. And so there was this point in the first episode of Cuphead that I believe was kind of setting up the character, the one that you see on the screen right now. And so yeah, it's a continue. This is a supposedly a continuation of that episode. And so, without further ado, let's go and react to it. Oh hey, I finally got to start to make a living by talking about the hardest games of all time. All I gotta do is just click the logo, and here we go. Well, I already talked about Cuphead, so let's take a look at the other stuff. Most. All right. So first note, very great use of the mic. um, yeah. So I don't know if this applies to almost everyone who's starting content creation. It probably is, but yeah. I was like very uncomfortable, making this for the first time, and I was even more uncomfortable, making the very first episode. And so yeah, I don't know if that applies to everyone. I mean, it probably is. Everyone just kind of starts off, awkward in their very first episode on YouTube or very first video on YouTube. So yeah. These games I could afford, or I don't know, I don't have the appropriate systems to play them on. Ninja Gaiden 2. I don't have Ninja Gaiden 2, but what I do happen to own. Yeah, so another thing that I want to point out is that at this point, um, I used to edit videos back then. I wasn't like insanely good. I'm obviously, as you can tell, but I used to edit videos back then. There weren't. I mean, they used to be like some compilations, some very cheap videos, and it's raining outside. I don't know if you can hear that. Whatever. So yeah, I wasn't good or in like like a god at editing, and so yeah, one thing that I want to point out here is yeah, past me should have. If I were to make this episode now, I would have just zoomed in this Ninja Gaiden picture here, or just add some highlights. But you know, yeah, that's the past.
Is Ninja Gaiden on the Virtual Console. Well, it's supposed I get to playing the original on an official Nintendo console, so might as well try it out. But first, let's take a little history lesson. Ninja Gaiden is a hack and slash side-scroller platform video game developed and published by Tecmo.
All right, so we're off to a great start. There's that one frame where it's just pure green, and so yeah. Now at this point, there wasn't a specific format of the videos or the game footage, if you know what I mean. So in this like very footage, I was just the setup was pretty weird. So I had a 3DS, which was shown just recently in the video, and I had my camera um, on top of some random, basically like some box, and so it was really awkward because I couldn't see like the actual screen of the 3DS myself. So the gameplay was a bit weird, and yeah. Also, another thing is that I didn't record all of the Ninja Gaiden gameplay on one sitting. I had to record them on multiple sittings, and as a result, as you can see, the format is a bit off center, and yeah, it's just not pleasant to look at, and that's something that I would have changed right now if I could, but I'm a bit lazy right now. And so yeah, at this point I'm now starting to talk about Ninja Gaiden, and that was a weird transition back there. So I don't know why I added a blur effect right there. It was really stupid, and I don't know. It was just really weird. Another split second of just pure green there. Also, very readable text. Good job, past me. So yeah, maybe I could have just screenshotted maybe like a portion of that entire website, but I didn't. So yeah.
88th issue of Family Computer Magazine under the title Ninja Gaiden, which would later
Also, again, very readable text on the bottom left there.
be used for the game's American version. I found this on Chris Covell's website, and I recommend going through his website. You can find a ton of info about NES and Famicom games in their early stages that were only exclusive in Famimagas, or Family Computer Magazines. It was developed and released around the same time as its arcade version of the same name, but neither were direct ports of each other. According to developer Masato Kato, who is known for penning the script of Chrono Trigger, as well as other RPG titles like Xenogears, Chrono Cross, and Final Fantasy.
Again, this episode was super low quality and I hate it, but yeah, it's something that I just like to take a look back because damn, I've gone really far in terms of editing, and so yeah. So far, pretty inconsistent transitions and pretty inconsistent transitions and formatting. Everything about this video was just plain awful, and I'm sorry if you have to rewatch the entire show from the beginning. I'm really sorry for making such a terrible first video, but I mean, technically, it isn't the first episode, but yeah, I'm still sorry.
Ninja was gaining popularity in North America, so Tecmo decided to develop a Ninja-related game for the NES. At the same time, the arcade version was being developed. This was Masato Kato's first full-time project as a video game designer. The game was released in Japan on December 9, 1988, with North America on March 13, 1989, and the PAL version on August 15, 1991. Alright.
What was. I don't know how I was okay with those transitions. Alright, so another backstory. So, the videos I made from year 1 to year 3, all of them were made on Lightworks, which is a free video editor, and Lightworks is pretty old. Like, it was really laggy, and I don't know why I stuck to it for 3 years. And right now, the videos that I'm making or that I made on year 4 are all on DaVinci Resolve, which is much better and much smoother. So yeah, Lightworks was it did the job, but sometimes it was pretty awful, and it was so slow that I had to wait an insane amount of time just trying to make these videos, which is why back then I only made like less than 10 episodes per year. So that's part of the reason why um actually I don't know why I stuck to Lightworks for so long. So yeah.
Let's finally play the game. Well, as you can see, I'm playing this game on 3DS, which is Play 3D Virtual Console, which has save states, as well as variability. Whatever, it's time for
I don't know why I put that in the script as well. So yeah, as you can tell, most of my episodes, they're kind of formatted similarly like Scott the Wasp episodes. There's a bunch of skits in each of these episodes. I mean, depending on what episode you're watching. And so I want to try to capture that humor or essence of his videos, but try to make it as not like very low quality, but low quality enough that it feels like you're watching a video back in like the early stages of YouTube. And so that's basically what I'm trying to do with most of my videos. But recently, yeah, but recently I've been trying to do more high quality stuff, especially with the Halo videos and the Blasphemous video that I made as the first episode in year 4. So yeah, but I want to try to capture this essence possible as possible as I can to maintain that quality, if you know what I mean.
Let me tell you, this looks amazing for a game in the late 80s. The amazing
And let me tell you something, this looks terrible for 2020 YouTube standards. Like, this looks like something that would that you would watch on back in 2010 or something. Like, the quality is just terrible. And again, I know I said earlier that I wanted to try to capture the essence of old YouTube, but not like this. I mean, this looks insanely bad.
graphics and soundtrack. It is also one of the few NES games to have fully animated cutscenes. While they're not as common these days, these are pretty fun to watch.
Also, why the hell did I publish or sneak in a cutscene of Hollow Knight? Why? um, yeah, so this is pretty much the start of the template of my first videos, I think. And that probably started on the E3 episode, which is the next episode, but wow.
Let's talk about the gameplay. You play as a ninja named Ryu Hayabusa. You mean Ryu from Street Fighter? His father's name is Ken. Okay, Ryu and Ken. How can you not think of Street Fighter when you hear those names? Where were we?
Great joke there, by the way. Yeah, I wasn't pretty good at jokes back then. I'm probably still not good at jokes now or ever. So yeah.
Now, as you may notice, this game is incredibly different from its arcade counterpart. The arcade version is more so another Double Dragon, whereas here you have a more traditional side scroller. You attack using a katana. You can also attack while jumping or in midair as well. You can use your secondary weapons like shurikens, fireballs, and boomerangs by holding up on the D-pad and pressing the B button. Though every time you use them, they'll drain your spiritual strength. You can regain your spiritual strength by collecting red and blue spiritual strength items found in lamps and lanterns by attacking them. Much like in Castlevania, where you destroy the said objects to obtain hearts and power-ups. You can jump on and off walls, but you can't attack in this state. You can jump off walls by holding the D-pad in the opposite direction you're facing and pressing the A button. There are 6 acts in total that comprise 20 levels.
So what I did just there is basically how I want to talk about some games. Like I want to begin with just like a small, short skit, and then I cut to myself talking about the history or the history behind the development of the game. Then I talk about the gameplay, but I want to change that at certain points right now. Right now I'm working on Nightmare Cart and again Ninja Gaiden 2004, and so I want to change like some aspects of it, like maybe put the gameplay um, section as I'm beginning the game itself. And so that's basically the format of how I make videos when I'm talking about but I'm specifically but I'm specifically talking about games.
Each harder than the last. The story is as follows. Ryu's father, Ken, was killed in a duel. After the duel, Ryu receives a letter from Ken which tells him to find an archaeologist named Walter Smith in America. So Ryu goes to America to avenge his father and find Walter Smith. Before he can find Walter, he is shot and kidnapped by a young woman who later hands him a demonic-looking statue before releasing him. Ryu finds Walter, who tells him about the demon statues he and Ken had found in the Amazon ruins. There are 2 demon statues.
Also, you can see a little bit of my reflection on the screen there. So yeah, it was a pretty terrible setup back then, and I'm glad that I just emulated the game on my laptop, so the visual is much clearer. Thank God I did that and not record using a phone.
Light and shadow. With the 2 statues combined, they can transform into Jashin or Jashin if you will, the evil demon that Shinobi defeated. So during their conversation, a masked figure steals the shadow figure. Ryu chases him down, retrieves the statue, returns, finds that Walter is dying, and the light statue is missing. 3 men confront Ryu and take him to an interrogation room where he meets Foster, head of the Special Auxiliary Unit of the CIA. Foster explains to Ryu that someone under the name Jakyo? Hakyo? I'm calling him that guy. So Foster asks Ryu to go to the temple and eliminate him.
Alright,
Ryu
so as
finds
you
the
can
bad guy holding
see
and captures the
in
young
those
demon
few
controller.
seconds,
Ryu then drops
the
his
aspect
sidekick
ratio
Hector and
changed.
gameplay character.
And then
Ryu encounters Bloody Malt. Ryu beats him, and as he is dying, Malt reveals that he was the one who dueled with Ryu's father and that he is still alive. So he reaches the
it
temple's inner
changed again.
chambers and
So
finds
yeah,
its body suspect
I would not
skeleton
recommend
figure.
doing the
Ryu
setup that I
destroys it
did back then
subsequent.
while
The
recording
bad
this
guy tries to
video.
kill Ryu,
The
but
aspect
Ryu
ratio,
kills
I mean, it
himself
was
to
very
save Ryu.
inconsistent, and
Ken
so
is slowly
I'm glad
dying.
that I just
Ryu
stuck
kills
to
bad guy. The
emulating
lunar
games
eclipse occurs.
or just
Jashin
playing
returns.
games
Ryu kills
and
Jashin
recording
and
them
that's it breaks
using
up.
my laptop.
Ken
So yeah.
tells Ryu to leave him and take the woman instead. Foster orders the girl to kill Ryu, but she chooses not to. The 2 kiss. Happy ending. Alright, let's finally play the game.
So this was pretty terrible. So what I could have, if I've done this now, I would have just go through the entire game as the story progresses. Like, oh, Ryu gets told by this guy, and then we cut to the next level. Then I talk about that level, and then we cut to where the next story cutscene happens, and then after that, we get to the next level. So that's what I would have done back then, or that I would have done back then now, if you know what I mean. So yeah, the transitions again were pretty terrible here.
The enemies immediately respawn after you kill them when they're on the edge of the screen. The enemy placement is the worst. There's little to no space where you can land, attack, or be safe. There are bosses at the end of each act. The first few bosses are quite manageable. I use the term manageable because you are guaranteed to get hit multiple times. Yeah, you get hit by everything. Soldiers, Mike Tyson, birds, dogs, bats. There are three final bosses. The first boss is manageable once you get used to its attack pattern. The second boss, however, is a different story. The fireballs never miss. They'll follow you wherever you go. There's no escape. And also the second boss takes a while to die. While it may sound like it, there is still an attack pattern, so there's still a chance you can still progress, says the guy who's playing on a virtual console. Next, you fight a giant xenomorph looking shrimp. Its attacks spread around the screen, and what's worse is that the final boss is easier than the second boss. Not to mention, the levels in this act are just random. It has so many random enemy placements. You have little or no platform to stand on. You can fall off easily, and the amount of enemies attacking you, that's bullshit. Alright, that's one of the list.
Also, again, very readable there, past me.
What else is there? Oh, that's one way to break a person.
And that's the pretty loud outro. So yeah, I'm not proud of this video. Yeah, I'm not proud. There are so many things that's wrong here, that I would have, that would easily been fixed, but it didn't, and it got published in such a terrible state. And I'm actually surprised that as of now, it's the most popular video on the channel. How? And so yeah, that's the technically first episode of the main channel, and I just want to say that this video, I'm sorry for if you had to watch that. It's pretty terrible, and I hope, and I'm glad that I'm just improving as time goes on with how I make my videos. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy.